This is a beautiful crew, by the way. This is a really nice
Yeah.
crew tonight.
Wow.
Thanks for being
Wow.
here.
Yeah. Polish. Well, no, look at this. Everybody's framed in. We must be doing Zoom for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm pretty certain that we're not going to go away from it. Anybody else? I think this is kind of the deal. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of the deal. So, welcome in. We're going to talk about fighting tonight. We're going to talk about anybody up for. Thank you, Jenny. I'm so glad
Monday.
she put up her dukes. She put up her dukes. Jenny says it's Monday, so it must mean to fight. So, yeah, it's interesting how much conflict happens over the weekend. There's a lot of statistics and data on that, because people are where? They're home. Wasn't even thinking about going through that. So welcome in, friends. Good to see your beautiful faces. And I'm so, and as always, John, thank you so much for being here, brother, because, we need the polarity to be here, for me too. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right. And Lori Gardner's coming in. Awesome. Great little gaggle of folks here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you, I always love to say this, those of you that may be in the wrong place, we're talking about conflict today. We're talking about conflict. What is it? Subtitle, How to Fight Fair. So Paige and I are going to be leading this workshop tonight. Welcome in. So question, and I think some folks are probably top of mind. We always do this. I'm going to do this before I start sharing slides. So why in the world did you choose to jump on tonight's workshop, masterclass tonight, other than, and you can't do this. You can't, well, you asked me to, David. Okay. Fine. I asked you to. All right. I've asked you to join us. Great. Fantastic. So other than that, play along. So for those of you, okay, who would like to share real quick, let's popcorn, come off of mute, say, why in the heck are you here? Why did you choose to spend your Monday evening, April 11th, here tonight?
All right, I'll go. I just went through a breakup Thursday, and we had a few conflicts, and the conflict seemed to be why things ended. I'm not exactly certain, but in trying to research and kind of heal over the weekend, I realized that conflict is really, really common. And if it is so common, I need to learn how to do it properly so that I can give myself the best possible chance.
Wow, beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jenny. Yeah. Thank you, Jenny. I love Jenny's curiosity. Did y'all hear that? Curiosity. It's like, I want to learn how to fight. I want to learn how to do this in the future because I'm still uncertain about what happened. Right? Awesome. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing. Anyone else? I see Michelle has jumped off of mute. Yeah, go ahead.
I can share. I think it's something that we all have to go through conflict and we can relate to. And so I feel like there's any tips or tricks that you're like, ooh, yeah, I can resonate with that. That would be helpful. Like Jenny said, it's something we all have to go through. So how to respond or listen in a conflict, I think is such a great strategy. And Jenny, my heart goes out to you, thinking of you in your breakup. So sending love.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Anyone else? Let's all co-regulate together. Anyone else ever gone through a breakup? I was like, I could take off my socks and shit. Yeah. Yeah. As we like to say, all relationships end, right? One of two ways, by choice or someone else's choice, and by death, right? So breakups suck. And, as we like to say, seeking the lesson from that. It sounds like Jenny is in that space, right? Trying to figure out, what can I learn from this? Yeah, absolutely. Who else? Let's take one more. Why are you here? Yeah, Martha.
I'm here because you invited me here, and I'm usually at a tap dancing class on Monday nights and they changed the class from 6 to 7 to 7 to 8. So I'm supposed to be tap dancing, but I'm homesick today because I truly am sick. So I'm like, yay, I'm coming tonight. Sick or not sick, I'm here. That's why I came. And curiosity, I guess. But mainly because you asked me to come, David, so I could learn something.
I love it. So this takes precedence over tap dancing. I feel so honored, Martha Allen. Thank you. God bless. Yeah. Yeah. Little known fact: my father was a professional tap dancer. True story. True story. Yeah. True story. Yeah. So, okay. All right. We ready to get started? We ready to get started? We're learning how to fight. Okay.
Let's do
Cool.
it.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to make this one note. Michelle said it perfectly. It's something we all face. However, we're going to learn tonight that there are many times that most of us wish we weren't doing. Can I get an amen? Mm-hmm. Right. Conflict avoidant. Anyone here? Scared of confrontation? Somebody else's response? Jenny's like, no, let's go. Bring it on. I love it. I love it. And thank you thank you for being the contrarian. I love that. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Paigey, I'm going to hand it to you for a second. Any opening words, thoughts before I share screen?
I don't think so. We'll talk about both sides of that, conflict avoidant and those that really like to just face it head on. And David and I are going to be co-leading tonight. So we'll be bouncing back and forth. And yeah, I think we're going to have fun together. We might do a little role play, hint, hint, little teaser. And yeah, we'll have fun. We'll start there.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Those of you, please, 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 if you have your journals and your pens and your pencils or your tab, whatever it may be, you're taking some notes tonight, you'll want to do that because we are going to be doing some role play. After all, we don't practice fighting, which sounds like, what?
Hey,
Yep,
David,
have
your
an
mic
yes.
is a little fuzzy.
Is it fuzzy? Check one. Fuzzy, 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 what, where? I'm going to set this up here. Is that worse, better, horrible?
It's
Terrible?
cleared out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you, babe. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can, so I can see everybody's face. Yeah, thumbs up, we can see. Okay, cool. All right. So ultimately, I love this first slide. Ultimately, we would love to feel like this guy when it comes to conflict, wouldn't we? And not in the sense of, yes, I won. Oh, we'll get there. Yes, I won. Right. So how to fight fair. What was the old adage that our parents told us about life? Life's not what? Yeah. Life's not fair. Yeah. Oh, we're going to have a little bit of interesting as we move through these slides. All right. So why are we doing this? I asked you earlier, hey, why are you here? And we always like to ask the question here at Daring Deeply, why in the world are we doing this? Okay. Well, we really want to understand this idea here at the top that conflict is not being about right, not being about being right. Conflict is not about being right. Let me try to speak English. It's about finding resolution. Okay. True confessions. How many have us been in conflict to ensure that we were right? Anyone? Because how does it feel to feel right?
For me, it feels great that I know I'm right, even though I'm probably not right.
I can relate to that.
Yep. Which, by the way, being right is a learned behavior. And it's a trauma response. We just went deep real quick there. Okay. So ultimately where we want to go is we want to understand that conflict is not about being right. It's about finding resolution, right? Ultimately understanding that conflict leads to what we call a win-win, a win-win. Everybody wins. No one's wrong and no one's right, is that we find resolution, which takes work. This is why this is such a hot topic and always will be, right? As I often say, too bad we don't have conflict 101 in high school. I would love to have that replace trigonometry. Okay. For all you math nerds out there, my apologies, not really. Okay. But wouldn't it have been great to know that conflict 101 was being taught in freshman class? Yeah. Relationship 101, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So key takeaways and outcomes for tonight, okay, is for us to move away and leave and complete this particular workshop, this masterclass, with the idea that conflict can be healthy. Conflict can be healthy. And I will go even further to say that conflict is necessary in a healthy relationship. Necessary, right? Now, how we engage in conflict, that's a whole nother story, right? We're going to provide elevated language and tools. Oh, you're going to walk away with language. You're going to walk away with tools. You're going to walk away with some role play, leveraging some of the language that we propose tonight. Okay. So, and also too, you're all going to be receiving a list of what do we call it? 10 better ways to fight with your spouse or partner. Anybody want some of that? Anybody want some of that? Yeah. Right. And then lastly, conflict offers deeper understanding of self and others. Who here wants to understand yourself better? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, me too. Conflict is a way in which we can learn this. All right. So first question, we're going to do a little bit of journaling here at the top, my friends. So if you've got your pen and paper, your pencil and paper, okay. What we have here on the right is an illustration: conflict, fight, flight, or resolution. Now we also understand that there are many other aspects to that. Freeze, fawn, some other F words. So, but what is your current relationship with conflict? What is your current relationship with conflict? Okay. And as you answer this question, I want you to think in terms of, in the context of the last conflict you had with spouse, partner, family member, friend, yourself. Okay. So using the context of the last conflict that you had, whatever it was, maybe the last significant conflict that you had, what was your relationship with that fight, with that conflict? What was going on? What did you feel in your body? What was said? What was not said? What was avoided? Was it resolved? So I'm going to be quiet and give you a few moments to jot some thoughts down, and then we'll be back. Let's take another 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So I'd love to take a couple of quick shares here. Whoever would be open to share. How do you find yourself in conflict? What's your relationship with conflict? You tend to run, to fight, freeze.
All right, can I go?
You betcha, Jenny.
I don't know if you would call it, I guess it would be fight, because in one of the recent conflicts we had, I felt really proud of myself that I was able to calm down and show some compassion for his side of it and to not get too emotional. But even doing that, he still went into shutdown mode. And when that happens, I find myself like my anxiety peaks because I feel like I'm being deprived. And I'm like, how dare you like shut down when I'm trying to resolve this? And so I have a hard time controlling my response and I get panicky until it's resolved. And I know sometimes people need space to cool off or they want to think about it and stuff like that. And if they ask for that space, I can give it to them. But when they just stonewall me, my anxiety's like, danger, danger, panic, panic. So maybe a little of both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody relate to Jenny? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How in the world can I control the other person to respond the way I need them to respond? I think Martha just gave me an amen. Love to be able to provide you the magic wand solution to controlling other people. I wish I really do.
Yes,
I'm
sorry. Yes, that you said that. Well, of course you did. You said that perfectly, because that after I wrote down what I said, then hearing you, yes, that's probably why I react the way I do, because I want to have control over that situation and control over that person. I want to know what they're thinking. But I said in general, my relationship with conflict is fight mode, because I feel like the other person thinks that I'm stupid. And I was going to say not smart, but what came to my mind is they think I'm stupid. So that's what I wrote down. They don't understand my perspective in the situation. And so and the way I'm viewing it is they're belittling me, and they have good arguments against what I'm trying to come back at. And then I don't have a good comeback or good response to justify my reason of feeling the way I do. And so then I either just start yelling at them or I shut down because they are not understanding where I'm coming from. But then I think part of it is because I escalate like too quickly in it and go to that fight mode right away. So I need help.
Yeah. Again, I think if we taught this throughout our traditional education, right, we'd still be saying, oh my goodness, how do I do this? Thank you for sharing. And thank you, Jenny, again, for sharing. Yeah. Anyone else face this idea of, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm equipped to argue. I think this person has something over me. I think they're going to be able to win, right? And I'm going to be stuck. Anybody ever feel that or in conflict with somebody like that? No? Yes, maybe.
Not so much the winning. If they win, I just want to know that I'm heard, that they are heard. The other night, I had some conflict with my boyfriend, and it was, of course, over something that just seemed a little nuts, and he got elevated, and I said, I know, and it was over music. It's like, I know you don't like this type of music. I sat and listened to watched the dumbest video ever. God bless him. And then I was like, this is a song I thought you were talking about. And he just got irate. He doesn't like rap music at all. And I'm like, oh, this is dance music for me. And so I was being playful and being fun, and he just shut it down. And so I was like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like you're not hearing me. Like, I love this for movement, for dance, for things like that. And you're like cutting everything down. I feel like you're shutting me down. That's how I was when I was growing up. I wasn't allowed to listen to this type of music or anything like that. Mind you, he listens to death and heavy metal and Satan worshipers, which is cool because I like the stuff too. Not Satan worshipers, but I like them too, but just a little different. Anyway, so every time I would say, this is where I'm coming from, this is what I hear you saying, I felt shut down each time. And so I said, like, turned it to something totally opposite of what I was trying to communicate and what I was trying to get from him or trying to hear from him. And then finally I said, I'm going to go to the other room. I'm going to take about 5 minutes. I'm not leaving. I'm just going to step into the other room and just take a breather. And I said, because we're not hearing each other and I need to decompress. And he was like, I really wish you wouldn't go. And I said, I need to do this right now, because otherwise it would not have been pretty. So I did. I took 5 minutes, and then it never necessarily got resolved until the next day. And he said, I'm going to commit to being able to hear more of the things that you like and that move you in different ways and things like that. So by the next day, there was some resolution, but it doesn't happen immediately for us. Sometimes we need a day to think about it, and I'm okay with that, and I think he's okay with that too. So it ended up turning out fine. But it's different because I think we've had a few conversations like that to where we can be angry with each other. And even at the end, we were both going to break up with each other at one point. This was like a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't know we were going to break up with each other. I just knew I was going to, and who knew who he was going to. And after 2 hours of communicating and talking, we both were like, this is the most healthy grown-up ass conversation we have ever had. And so it's just kind of learning how to communicate with each other and hear each other. And if you're in that constant toxicity and not hearing each other, then it just all kind of goes to pot. So I feel like there's healthy conflict, but I'm telling you, it messes with my system. Really does. Because I really want to fight and then want to flight. And bury myself.
Thank you, Shauna. Thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you for listening.
Absolutely. You betcha. So, John, hi, John. I'm going to put you on the spot, brother.
Hey,
I would love to hear another masculine perspective. Kind of talk to me a little bit about your relationship with conflict.
so the most recent one I had was, so I'm going on almost 2.5 years of being divorced. And the one relationship that's most trying in my life by far is my ex-wife still, even though we're no longer together, is through co-parenting, right? So a lot of times I feel like she blows through my boundaries when I try to set them. And I feel like I'm the one who fights more because I feel like I have good points to be made and she's just not hearing them. That's what I tell myself in my mind. So I repeat them in different ways, thinking that I'm going to get through. But to no avail, I do not. So yeah, that's the biggest and the most recent one we had was, a boundary that was sort of blown through on her side, the way I saw it, and it's still unresolved because she will sort of retreat because she she probably feels like she's being attacked or she's not being heard, and she says she needs time to think, and she's, so I say, well, let me know when we can meet to talk about our boundaries and have a face-to-face conversation, but I haven't gotten that response yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I know why.
Wait, what was the last thing you said?
And I think I know why.
Yeah. In a special circumstance when co-parenting is involved is, just a side note, we've made a decision to complete a relationship, yet we still share children. And yet, so we're forced to have communication and we're forced to navigate conflict with someone with whom we no longer want a relationship with, and yet we are in one. It's very complicated, very, very complicated and complex. So I can understand, and sending you love, brother. I've certainly been there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I know other folks on the call have been there as well. So yeah. Okay. One last one. Anyone else want to share? What's your relationship with conflict? And then we'll move forward.
I'll share.
Please, Lily.
Hi.
Hi, Lily.
Hello. My relationship with conflict is complete avoidance. I've moved across the country probably like 3 or 4 times to avoid the same man that, this was back in the day, but to avoid the same man that I kept going back to. And I'm grateful for this opportunity, and thank you, Paige, for the invite, because I'm currently going through conflict with my parents. And like exactly the same thing that John was saying. It's like, I'm so like, I'm really emotionally involved. I know how to like communicate with them, but they're just not hearing me. And they're not people that I can choose other than just avoiding some more. So I think for me, like I said, this kind of just shows up at the right time. And I'm here. But yeah, so mine is avoidant for sure, along with my parents. They are also avoidant. So it's interesting, but thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you, Lily. Yeah. Yeah. Avoidant to avoid what? Right. I'm not asking you specifically, right, Lily, but to avoid, because isn't it easier simply to avoid? Isn't it easier? Of course it is, right? Which goes into procrastination, which again is a trauma response, right? Trauma response to say, well, if I don't have to deal with it today, then I can get through today and then I can worry about it tomorrow. And as we teach here in significance, right? Trauma never leaves. Spoiler alert, by the way, right? Trauma never leaves our body. Jenny just went, oh man, really? Nope, never leaves until it's healed, right? It's in us and with us until we face it, much like the conflict in which we're talking about tonight. So thank you all for sharing. All right, I'm going to jump back into the slides. All righty. So next, I love this. I love this. Avoiding conflict. Well, I don't love it, but I think it's powerful. Avoiding conflict is conflict. Conflict typically with who? Yeah. Okay. So as the illustration over here indicates, and I think our next slide will give us even more context. Okay. Conflict resolved or continued? Right. Did you know? According to a study facilitated in 2021, 2 out of 3 fights are left unresolved. 2 out of 3, 67%, 2/3. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot. And now imagine not just in your life, but in everyone you touch, everyone you know, 2/3 of their conflicts are not being resolved. Okay. And then they're the people they touch. And so here we are, right? Not knowing how to, here we are on a call talking about something, right, that is so incredibly important and so critical and so powerful, and when to understand and when to find healthy ways in which to navigate conflict can change the world. Imagine if we flip that to 1/3. Imagine that, 1/6, 1/8. Okay. So the reality is, Paige and I had a really powerful conversation in preparation for this today. We had a lot of them. We had conflict today, didn't we, sweetie? We're going to talk about that a little. We had conflict in preparing for a workshop about conflict. How apropos, right? Of course it was, right? It's like the old adage, when do you fight the most? On the way to church. Right? It's like, when do you cuss the most? Oh, in the parking lot. Yeah. Of course it is. But the more that we elevate, right, the more that we continue to grow and transform, right, and find ways in which we find peace, purpose, and passion, we're going to still find that conflict because we're elevating to new levels, right? But imagine if we can turn that number from 2/3 to much, much less, which is essentially why we're here. I know that there are some colleagues and there are some coaches here on the call with us tonight, and we often have narrative. We have this thing that goes through our minds, like, how in the world do we change the world? How in the world do we change the world? And what I want to provide some encouragement and empowerment for all of you tonight is, whether you're a coach or whatever your line of work is we do it one person at a time, right? It can seem incredibly daunting, right? Incredibly daunting. But we have to begin with us, because there's 10 people who are going to see us and navigate us and go, wow, you fought amazingly, right? You didn't go here. You didn't say this. You didn't blame shift. You didn't disappear. You didn't fight. You didn't flight. That's why this is so important. All right, next. So what's behind all of it, friends? What's behind all this conflict? We can boil it down, and there's some other things, I'm sure. But what we've understood is it comes down to 2 things. It's from our pain or our passion. And sometimes it's the same. Right? Any sports fans out there? Any sports fans? Love sports? Anybody? Okay, right. Yeah. Have you ever seen two fans of 2 sports Two fans of two different teams of the same sport go at it. Passion. My team's better than yours, right? As hard as it was to put on St. Louis Cardinals gear this past weekend, I did for love.
It looked great on you, by the way.
Oh, nice. I thought that was going to come up. Thank you very much, honey. Love you too. All right. Passion or pain. And this is where we get to the bottom of this slide, right? Unconscious attempts by both parties to solve childhood attachment wounds. Oh, David, are you going to talk about childhood trauma again? I am. Okay. All right. Because we all have it. Okay. Let's get it on board. Let's go heal together. Come on. Okay. And it's okay. So when something comes up that's important, we're going to dive into this in just a little bit. It's important to recognize that. And what I heard someone say earlier when someone was sharing, I can't recall who it was, is to fully understand and comprehend where that pain is coming from, right? Because there's a reason why someone is escalating in conflict, right? It's because a value, a pain or a passion has been violated or misunderstood. Okay. I love this quote. Love it, love it, love it. Paige found this. Enduring love is not found through an absence of conflict. Has anyone ever had an experience, and maybe it was your relationship, okay, where someone said, oh, we never fight. We're great. Anyone? Yeah, we're great. We never fight.
Bad.
Conflict
is bad. It's unhealthy. It's mean. And so you just swept it under the rug.
The less you fight, the stronger your relationship is. That's the narrative. Right? In reality, what's going on is it's being swept under the rug, clearly, right? And so that trauma continues to fester, right? The pain continues to fester. Okay. It is grown through the masterful tending to the unmet needs that our conflicts illuminate. Okay. Raise your hand if you've ever had an unmet need. Yeah. I'm not good enough. I'm too much. I'm too loud. I'm not smart enough, thin enough, successful enough. Okay. Why am I still single? And why am I still married? Because I'm not good enough. Right? Conflict is simply bringing awareness to something that needs to be healed. All right. So let's pivot and turn the corner. How in the world do we begin to fight fair? Okay. Now that we know where it comes from, okay, give us some tools, Paige and David. Give us some things in which to do. And what Paige and I have come up with over the years here at Daring Deeply is a very simple acronym. We call it IVC. And every time I say IVC, still to this day, I think of when I was a kid and I would drink IBC root beer. I don't know where that came from. But IVC. And what we want to highlight here is three simple, not easy, three simple ways in which to navigate through conflict and really communication in general. Some of you have seen this, and I would invite you to be a learner and not a knower, as we like to say, okay? So the first is what we call invitation. Invitation. This is super, super duper hard when we're in conflict. The last thing that some of us want to do is say, hey, I have a problem and I need to talk to you about it. Okay, because again, it's easier just to walk away. It's easier to bury it. It's easier to throw it under the rug. Okay. But the reality is it's never going away, ever. Right? Invitation simply means this. Hey, I have something I would love to talk to you about. It's super important to me. You're important to me. Would you be open to hear what I have to say? Okay. What can be triggering, by the way, can you trigger someone? Pop quiz, can you trigger someone? John's shaking his head. John, would you be open to come off of mute and say, why do you think you can't trigger someone? John's like, oh, great. Why did I get on this call?
Yeah, no, I can't trigger them. You trigger yourself. You are the one, whoever is the one being triggered is allowing someone to do that to them. So typically you'll hear, you're triggering me, but it's the inverse, right? It's really not. It's the words that they can't handle. It's not, the other person is just saying words, essentially.
Yeah. Super hard. Super hard. This goes back into the personal responsibility. This is super hard. And taking nothing personal. I don't want to hear that. Don't say that again, David. Don't, because I take things personal. Don't say it. Please don't say it. But it's true. No one triggers us. We are triggered. Okay. It's not to minimize the triggering. It's not to minimize the trauma response. It's not to minimize the response that we are having based on someone's behavior that we're sitting with. Okay. So when we invite someone into a conversation, right, that could be conflicting, right, it can be super tough, especially if we're attached to the response in which we think they're going to make. By the way, has anybody ever been dramatically surprised when they bring up something, when you bring up something and they don't respond the way you thought, and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have done this years ago. I thought you were going to blow up at me. Mm-hmm. Also, invitation, would you be open to? Okay, using that language. Those of you that know us, have been in our ecosystem at Daring Deeply, know that that is language we use. And it can be really difficult to say, I can't imagine talking to somebody and saying, would you be open to this? I promise, practice, practice, practice helps. Okay. Would you be open to hear what I have to say? As opposed to, we need to talk. You ever been on the other side of that one? We need to talk. Right.
Or there's
So
another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just be honest? It's like, when are you not honest? I'm scared.
Yeah, can I be honest with you? Oh boy, here it comes. All right. So everyone loves to be invited. Everybody loves invitations. We love to be invited to things, whether or not we say yes. Okay? So inviting them into the conflict, which sounds like, oh my gosh, who would ever take that step? But the way that we word that invitation, babe, you are so important to me. Mom, you are so important to me. And I have something that is really important to me that I want to share with you. Would you be open to hear it? As opposed to, you effing piss me off and I'm through with it and you're going to sit there and you're going to take it. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to be a part of that conversation either. Okay. Next is validation. Validation. This is the crux of everything. And I heard several of you say this earlier tonight. I want to be heard. I just want to be heard. I just want to be validated. Okay? Validation feels something like this. I hear you. I can understand why you may feel that way. Yeah, I've been there too. Yep, I hear you. Tell me more. I'm curious to know. Right? We're validating their position. Okay. By the way, and it says it over here on the right-hand side, key to solving relationship conflicts is to validate your partner's experience. And you can replace, by the way, partner with mom, dad, whoever. Okay. Validating your partner doesn't mean you agree with them. Newsflash. Okay. Validating is saying, oh yeah, we agree. Cool. Okay, let's go on. Okay. No. Validating is simply allowing them to be seen and heard by you. Thank you for sharing what you just shared with me. I hear you. I can feel that pain. I get it. I've been there. Okay. It simply means that you understand why they may feel that way. Why they may feel that way. Okay. Validation in conflict is a consistent essence through the conflict. Validation just doesn't happen one time. Okay. It may happen multiple times, especially at the level of conflict, depending on what you're moving through. Right? I hear you. I hear it. And this can be exhausting. You're like, wait a minute. When am I going to be validated? When am I going to be heard? Okay. Right. Again, can we control what the other person is doing or saying? No. Only we can. Which, this is what is so difficult in these conflicts, is, well, wait a minute, David, what if they're not going to validate me? What if they're not going to validate you? Then what? Oh, I'm not giving you the answer. If you're waiting by bated breath with your pen and paper, I'm not going to give you the answer to that. You're like, well, why in the world am I on here? Okay. And my guess is you're all incredibly intelligent people, and you probably have a pretty good idea of what perhaps the answer is. Okay. Who can you control? Who can you control? So once we navigate through potentially multiple invitations, okay, through the conflict, whatever the conflict may be. And I heard Shauna Wheat earlier say, you know what, the conflict was over something, right? Which, by the way, most conflicts are not about that. We know that, right? It's not about the music, right? It's about values. It's about respect. It's about honor. Okay. But we may be going through several invitations. Great. I hear you saying that, and I respect your opinion. Would you be open to hear my side? There's another invitation. Great. Thank you so much. I hear that. And I know that's incredibly frustrating. I'm feeling frustrated too right now. Would you be open to hear this? Okay. Validation, invitation, back and forth, back and forth. Okay. Ultimately, we're trying to come to an understanding, right? And we're going to get into specific language in just a moment. Okay. What can be said? And then we're going to do some role play. Okay. But ultimately, we're trying to come to a win-win. We're trying to come to an understanding. Okay. Remember, it's not about being right. It's about resolution. Okay. Which brings us to the third, completion. Okay. Pop quiz, ladies and gentlemen. Who decides whether a conflict is resolved? You can come off a mute or type it in the chat. Who decides if a conflict has been resolved? The judge.
The judge.
Both of you. Yeah. Both of you. So then you might think, well, David, but what if they say, yeah, we're good? And then 2 weeks later, what do? They bring it back up. Okay. Well, see, how could I know if they, you can't. Okay. This is why it's so important to ensure that we flow through the invitation, the validation, and to see, Paige and I, this is what we do. Do we feel complete? We were recently visiting family, right? And we had a very concentrated, very intense, very impactful conversation with some family members. And Paige, with folks who don't generally talk like this, okay? She spoke up at the end of this conversation and said, does everyone feel complete? I was like, I love you. And the other parties were like, huh? What? Do I feel complete? What? Huh? But it was a validation of, are we all good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? And yes, we have to entrust that the other person is good, right? Because again, we cannot control whether they really believe that we're in completion. Okay. So yes, it's a mutually agreed upon understanding that we're good. By the way, completion can also mean a pause. For now, we're good because it's 3:30 in the damn morning. I'm exhausted and we both have to get up and go to work tomorrow. And I love you. And good night. And I promise, and I'm committed to find resolution with this soon. We practice what we call the yes and principle here at Daring Deeply. Yes and. Yes, I'm still pissed at you, and I love you. Yes, I'm angry, and I know we're going to find resolution to this because I'm committed, and what I hear from you is you're committed to. Okay. All right. I'm not going to read through all this for the sake of time, but you will all, by the way, and we'll, if you want to take a snapshot of this, write a couple of these down, but I wanted to navigate through these because this kind of gives us an understanding. Rather than try this, rather than try this. Okay, this is real world language to initiate in your conflicting conversations. Okay. So, all right, fess up time. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever used the word whatever in conflict? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Thank you for being honest. Okay. Right. I used to think it was just my kids. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. All right. Which is incredibly dismissive and conflict, right? But instead of saying whatever, I want to work through this with you. Okay. I'm done. Ooh, even when I say that, my chest feels it. Anybody else? I'm done. Yeah. Reassurance is critical in any close relationship. And when we make ultimatums, I'm done with this. I'm tired of this. I'm leaving. Okay, wait, are you leaving? Or are you taking a car and go get some In-N-Out burger? Okay, what does that mean? Right? Okay, so be mindful of that in the language. Okay, I'm fine, or I don't want to talk about this. Thank you for sharing that with me. It's important that we figure out this together. I'm committed to that. Okay. One of the most diffusing pieces of language we can ever say is I am sorry. And by the way, we don't say I'm sorry when there's nothing to be sorry for. It's not what I'm talking about. That's a whole nother workshop. Okay. All right. Because how often do we over apologize? Anybody over apologize? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. All right. So this, okay. If you use some of this language, fantastic. Some of this look familiar to some folks, I know. Okay. By the way, thank you for sharing that with me. Validating language. Okay. If you don't know what to say when somebody tells them your opinion, their opinion, thank you for sharing that with me. Appreciate that. Okay.
When I say that, I have people in my life that are like, I don't need a coach right now. I need a friend. And I just want to say, well, tell me more. Because I want to know, like, am I saying it in a way that it's just they're not understanding that I really mean that, where I'm coming from, or if it's still new hearing it come out of my mouth or what. Like, stop coaching me, just be my friend, just listen to me. I don't need any, I'm like, I'm not trying to guide the conversation. I'm trying to let them know that they're heard, and they get pissy about it. So I'm not quite sure if it's something I'm saying or what, but
yeah, that's a great point. Anybody else have that experience with new language? You may be a coach, you may be, you doing this elevation, you're doing self-development, you're doing personal development. Yeah. And as we say, their response is their response, right? Has nothing to do with you. At the same time, it could help, and try this on, Shauna, is to leverage personal language and relationship language with that. So it may be their name, it may be babe, it may be hun, it may be, it may be a variation of thank you for sharing. I so appreciate hearing that from you. I really, really, really appreciate that. It may be other words that says thank you for sharing, right? And it's always an opportunity to say, do I say that a lot? Right? It could come out like it's rote. It could come out like it's formulaic. It could come out like, oh, coach, I hear it. Here it comes. Are you really thanking me for sharing this? Or are you playing me? Right? So, and I think, so it's both and, it's yes and, right? It's like to check yourself and to say, does this seem rote? And at the same time, this obviously it's their response as well. Yeah, it's really a great point. It's a great point.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So elevated language. Next slide. Next level, friends. Next level. This is ultimately, we're talking about how we feel in our body. We are talking about deep vulnerability when we're leveraging this type of language that you see on the screen. Okay. And again, you can take a snapshot, jot some of these down. Okay. And some of them we've discussed a little bit. Would you be open to taking a pause in our conversation right now and commit to continuing in 30 minutes? Now, again, just as Shauna just brought up, man, that can sound really robotic. Boy, I feel like I'm a project. Okay. But it's all in your language. Okay. And what you see there is, would you be open, invitation? Okay. And finding a completion. Because as you know, when you get with a friend and you say, hey, we ought to go and do coffee sometime. Yeah, we ought to do that. Does the coffee ever happen? No. But if you say, hey, I'm committed to this, can we return in 30 minutes or an hour or tomorrow morning? Okay. That also validates the relationship. You're important to me. This conflict is important to me. Therefore, I'm setting a timeline. That's how important it is to me. Because guess what, y'all? We can make money, we can lose money, but you can never make up more time. Time is the most valuable thing. And if someone is setting out and saying, hey, in 30 minutes, tomorrow morning over coffee, whatever it may be, says you're important. I'm validating the importance of this relationship. Okay. I love that next one. I'm making a conscious choice to face a trigger right now. To face a trigger. I'm triggered and could really use your hand here on my leg, back, or hand. Ooh. This is tough stuff right here. This is next level. Like I am feeling something in my body, and boy, partner, spouse, mom, someone with whom you have trust, I would love to have some physical interaction right now. Paige Stewart is exceptional at this with me, and it is bizarre because I am not used to this. When there is something going on with me, she will walk up and she'll start rubbing my back, or she'll come close to me and she'll ask, can I give you a hug? And I got to tell you, at first blush, I'm like, get the hell away from me, because I find it difficult and have found it difficult to have yes and, is to be fired up inside my body and receive love at the same time. To me, it's either or, right? It goes back to, I love you and I'm pissed at you, right? So sometimes that's the most regulating we can do to the nervous system is touch, if that's your thing. I love that. This last one here, the pain I am currently feeling right now correlates to not being good enough. Is that vulnerable or what? That's being incredibly next level aware. Holy shit, I'm feeling this in my gut. And I know that it's because dad said this when I was 12 and he never apologized. And it's because I heard you say that. And I know that has nothing to do with you. But to me, the part of me, the trauma response is you're not good enough. Right. You're inviting them into your pain. You're inviting them into your vulnerability. And that brings intimacy, which ultimately is the resolve of conflict. Okay. Next level stuff. So in that, all right. So that's right. The time has come. Who is open? Who is open to practice? Who's open to practice? Who's open to practice? You're like, I'm not raising my hand. Well, Paige is like, John, thank you. Thank you. Because you're all going to have an opportunity. Love you. Okay. You're all going to have an opportunity to practice. Now, I promise you, the first time that Tiger Woods went out and swung a golf club, okay, maybe Tiger Woods is a bad example. Okay. All right. But the first time that you did something, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time, it probably wasn't perfect. Okay. And this won't be either, and that's okay. Or it may be. Okay. You may have a lot of experience with navigating conflict, and that's okay too. Okay. So we're going to jump into, let's see, what do we have, Paige? We've got as far as numbers? You kind
3 groups of 3.
okay. Okay, cool. So you won't be by yourself. Okay. But we're going to break out into some breakouts in just a minute. But before we do that, Paige and I were going to do a little role play ourselves. Would you like to watch David and Paige fight? Like, oh, I didn't know I was going to see that. Cool. I got money on Paige. I see how you are.
John was filling in for me.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Trying to
Here
get
comes
out
the
of
bus,
it.
John. Here comes the bus, John. You just got run over. All right. So the scenario that we're going to, so you can kind of have a little bit of time here to look at this. Okay. And then we're going to challenge you. Okay. This is why it's called a masterclass. This is why it's called a workshop, to work. Okay. To practice. So I'm challenging you to all to lean in, and it's okay. It's not going to, that's great. But the point is to practice this, because if we don't practice, okay, then it may never happen. And as we like to say here at Daring Deeply, action is the antidote to anxiety. We have to take action. Because if we don't, then it's all just theory. And we're all just sitting around going, yeah, we should do that. I should talk like that. Yeah, sometime I'll do that. And as we know, Monday never comes. Tuesday never comes. Next Saturday never comes. Okay. Yes, Paige.
And when we find ourselves in those live action moments, we are not recalling anything that we've seen on these slides tonight at all. So this is an opportunity to just roll around, try things on, get a little dirty with it, mess up, and try again. You can use your notes. If you took pictures, like use them. Whatever learning method is going to work best for you, and whatever's going to help you through this situation, this role play situation, to help you really learn and take something away from this. That's the whole goal.
So the scenario, right? And Paige and I are going to do a different scenario. That's right. So you can't cheat. Okay. We're going to do a different scenario. But this scenario here is a very simple one, and one that I'm sure everyone here has felt at one point or another. And again, you don't necessarily have to be in a committed partnership to navigate this one. Okay. But it's about feeling prioritized. Okay. Anyone else have experience with being prioritized or not being prioritized? Yeah. Not feeling like you're special. Okay. So I'm going to have you consider that. We're going to put you in groups of 3 in just a moment after Paige and I have some fun. All right. Y'all ready? You can sit back, grab your popcorn, grab your soda, grab your green juice, whatever the hell you do. Okay. You be you, boo, as they say. All right.
So we're
yeah,
going out to dinner. What's the situation?
What is it? Huh? What? Okay. All right. Ready? Here we go. Hey, babe. I know we have some extra time tonight, and I would love to go out and grab some dinner. Would you like to do that?
That sounds good.
Cool. So I wasn't sure where would you like to go? I know you have some favorite places you'd like to go.
It doesn't matter. Your choice.
Well, I don't want to, you see, we've been there before, and I've made some wrong choices before, and I know you didn't like that. So you're more of the foodie than I am, and I don't want to make a bad choice, and I certainly don't want to control you. So where would you like to go?
You're not controlling me. We can go wherever you want.
Well, I'm afraid of that response, because that hasn't gone well, and you've been mad at me before for making a poor choice. So
Are you calling me difficult?
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes, because I feel like that, you're better at making these decisions, and I want us to have a fun night. I didn't want us to get to this point in the first place. I just want you to make a decision so we can go out and eat.
What's so difficult about you making a decision?
What did you say?
Trying to keep it together over here. Can't you just make a decision? This is getting frustrating.
Well, I don't want to. This is supposed to be fun. So it would be just easier if you just make a decision, because
this conversation is not fun at all. Zero fun. Can't you just make up your mind?
I don't want to disappoint you. I don't you understand that?
This
You can
conversation
never
is
understand.
disappointing
You
me.
can never understand when I am trying to make you happy.
Well, I'm not hungry anymore, so there's that.
Okay. First of all, I want to apologize and say that I'm sorry for escalating and taking some things out on you. I really want to make this evening special, and I didn't hear you necessarily, and it's really important that that I make this evening special. So I am sorry for my part in that. Would you be open to bring the conversation back to a place where we can make a decision?
Thank you for that apology. Thank you for seeing me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I just had this thought. I know your 3 favorite places here in Nashville, and I thought, okay, well, let's choose between those 3, and then we can both, I made that main decision, but I would love to give you the option of choosing one of those 3. That way you have some say in this, and we can have a really great night together. What would you say to that?
That sounds fun.
Okay. All right. And scene.
Okay, now kiss and make up. Oh, so cute.
Okay. So thoughts? What did you see? What did you hear? There are no wrong answers.
Classic scenario.
Which is what,
Classic.
Lily?
Let's find a place to eat, but we can't find a place to eat. And then we get so mad we're not hungry anymore. And then gone. Yeah, that's it.
Mhm. Yeah. Classic about who's making a decision.
Yeah, like if it were me, may I say, like what I've learned is that, like, if I do have this scenario specifically with romantic involvement, it's like, for me, it would be more like, I want you to make a decision because I want you to lead, or something like that. Like being very clear about, maybe more eloquently, or maybe not, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's that's my unmet need, I would say, would be like, I just want to spend time with you. It's really important to spend time with you. And it would really help me if you just either make 3 suggestions like you did, or just pick a place and really mean it, instead of being like, oh, but I don't want Mexican, but that's not right. Cause I'm not really saying specifically what I need. So yeah, classic scenario. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lily, for sharing. Yeah, for sure. We don't necessarily dig into this. This is part 2. But when we're talking about masculine and feminine, right? When we're talking about leadership, when we're talking about when we're talking about polarity, we're talking about a giver and a receiver, right? You witnessed that just now, right? So is she simply wanted me to make a decision? And yet the wounded masculine, right, goes, well, wait a minute. What if I make the wrong one? Because I've felt that before. It's like what Lily just said. I don't care. She says, I don't care where we go, but just don't mess up again and go somewhere I don't want to go. It's like, oh, well, right?
It's like a losing battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a lose-lose, which means work for both of us. Yeah, John.
I was just going to chime in and say sort of what you said on the masculine front, that if I was in that scenario, I most likely would have defaulted to feeling like my masculine was challenged. So I would have said, okay, I'll find the place, but then don't complain about it. That's how, but I liked your option of choosing 3. That was a very good move.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Because what's interesting,
I'm going
what's that? Put in your back
I'm gonna
pocket?
keep that
Yeah,
one in my back
absolutely. It can be yours, my brother. It can be used. Yeah. What's really powerful about that is the masculine is still leading. So ladies, take note. Okay. The masculine is still leading. We're going somewhere. We're going in one of these 3 places. Right. Right. The healthy feminine receives that and goes, oh, somebody's in charge. He's taking me. He's claiming me. He's and I get to be in my essence of femininity because there's a choice. And choice is all about the feminine. It's the flow, right? It's like, oh, I get to go here. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay. And I may not tell you until we're halfway there, right? Where the masculine then says, it's okay, baby. That's all right. I got you. Okay. All right. Cool. Any other pieces of thought, feedback, observation?
You nailed it on the 3 choices. Every time I go over to Raymore, I'm like, you know, this area, give me 3 choices and I'll choose from that. How does that sound? And he's like, perfect. And that like took the pressure off and is like, okay, I could do that because it's kind of his side of town. He knows it better than I do. So yeah.
Awesome.
Or I'll
Yeah,
say,
thank
I'm in
you.
the mood for Mexican or Thai.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, that's a great question for the masculine to ask. Okay. Not what do you want? Not what do you want to eat? But what are you feeling? What sounds good? What feels good? Okay. Because she's in her emotion. Right. All right. Okay. We'll pause there. So
remind
yeah, go ahead.
them of the scenario that they are
I
going
will.
through in their breakout rooms.
Yeah. So let me share this real quick. So if you want to take a quick picture of this, we will write this in the chat so you'll have it in front of you while you're in breakouts. Okay. But here's the deal. Over the last several months, okay. So again, if you're not in a partnership, if you're not a spouse, think in terms of someone with whom you're close to. It may be a friend, it may be a girlfriend, maybe a guy friend. Okay. Maybe a sister, maybe a brother. It's about being prioritized. Like, oh man, we had this relationship and now I don't feel that way anymore. And over the last several months, I've been quiet about this potentially. Right. And this is based on the things that seem to be distracting. Okay. So you can leverage some of those things in the scenario: screen time, bringing work home, less couple time. Okay. So what's going to happen is you're going to have an observer. Okay. You're going to have a person who feels less prioritized. And then you're going to have the person who is receiving said person who's not feeling prioritized. Okay. All makes sense. Okay. You can't go wrong. We can laugh. We can giggle. We can mess up. It doesn't. Okay. It's all good. Okay. There's no perfection here. Okay. So, and I would invite you to provide some feedback to one another. Okay. So this is also maybe a challenge for some of us, like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to I don't even know this person. That's okay. That's okay. We're all human, right? It's all safe. It's all safe. So, all right. So let's see. I need to do breakouts, don't I?
I just did it.
You just did.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So we will give you, okay. we will let you know as far as time is concerned on when you need to switch people, but let's go ahead and have some fun.
And then, yeah, David,
What am I doing?
don't join.
Okay. Cool. Stop share. Pause recording. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. I'm always interested when people come out of the vortex of breakout rooms. I either see smiles, grimaces, anger, rage, like we didn't have enough time, or bored out of their minds, or yeah. So, my guess is not enough time. Or did you have time? Not enough time? Time? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's take a few quick shares. And I will tell you, I want to be very, very clear. It looks like we're feeling a bit we're going to go about 5 minutes over. So I also want to honor everyone's time on here. So if you need to hop off at the bottom of the hour, absolutely, totally get it. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to apologize. We want to honor your time. So just to let you know, we'll probably go about 5 over. So quick share from that. What'd you see? What'd you feel? What happened? Talk to me. Tell me something, Goose.
I think we did really well. I think when both people are educated on how to do conflict resolution, both people are trying to do well. I think it would be harder, like in my situation where I was trying to talk to a wall. and he didn't have those tools. So what I thought was super helpful is that we both kind of had some tools to work with. And I think even though we stumbled a little bit, I think we did really well.
Who are you working with?
I was with Kelly and Lily.
Cool. Awesome. Very cool. Who else would like to share?
Well, Sean and I had a fight, but we were confused a little bit because we didn't know if we should role play being dense or being compassionate. So I just kind of went straight for the guttural. But she did very well. She held up her part, and we made a resolution. And it was nice.
Mm.
We
So
now
you
have
were-
date
you were
nights.
difficult. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Now we have date night. Now we have makeup date. So Lori Gardner, you made it difficult. Is that what I'm understanding? You were
Yeah,
made
she
it
wasn't.
challenging?
She wasn't doing anything. I mean, she literally did not make any dates for us for a long time. And if we did anything, I was the one that had to plan them. So I was getting frustrated. And she tried to tell me that she was too busy, but I called her on that one.
I work 60 hours a week. You have a part-time job. Like, this is your responsibility.
But then she got it. Sean is a quick learner.
She got it. Oh, I beat her into submission. Oh, that's so good. I will shame you into submission. That's funny.
Not
Good.
scared.
Who else was in your group? Lori and
Michelle.
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Paige did a great job putting the introverts together. So we were all like,
What do we do?
hi. And then I don't like conflict. So I had to watch the conflict and I'm like, oh, conflict. I'm like sweating. But they did a very good job bringing it back around. So I wasn't too activated.
Cool. I love it. I love the chicken wing, Michelle. The sweat. Oh my gosh. I'm sweating. Yeah. Very cool. Anyone else like to share your experience?
I was with John and Martha, and literally off the topic, I'm going to meet Martha someday in person. But otherwise, John and I were in a conflict. I was the one that was too busy for him. And it was interesting because afterwards, he explained that I hadn't said I'm sorry. And then we talked more about like what each of us had said and how we kind of came to a resolution. But it was good because he explained what he meant by, well, you didn't say I'm sorry. And it's true, I had validated his request for more time, but I did not validate his feelings. And so that's what he was like, not necessarily say I'm sorry, but at least an acknowledgement of his feelings around it. So I thought we just had a really good around how things can be perceived differently and everything.
Yeah, because I really liked having the male perspective in our group, because hearing that from John's perspective of you didn't say you were sorry though, that was, you didn't validate my feelings. And I'm like, yeah, so often I don't think about that with the man. I just think, oh, they're just a tough guy. They don't need that validation of how they're feeling because they try to be tough all the time. And, I'm the woman, you need to validate me kind of thing. So yeah, I really liked hearing that from John, his perspective on that.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thoughts, John, since they're talking about you?
Oh, yeah, right. It was great. I mean, I'm upset Lori doesn't want to see me, but I was, but yeah, I thought it was really good. They were both open to hearing why I had to say what I had to say. And in terms of the feelings, and I think you're right, that was a little bit different spin, but I was the one saying, well, you didn't validate my feelings. So, but I think it was all well received. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. And allow it to be, I would invite all the ladies on the call to know that The unhealthy masculine mask won't necessarily say, I need my feelings validated, right? Probably won't even recognize the fact that there are feelings there, but we need that too, right? We need that too. We want to be heard. It's not a one-way side. Is our leadership paramount? Yes. In fact, Paige and I were talking about that today, is that I feel like it is my absolute responsibility to lead in these conversations. Sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I just want to give up, and I don't feel like it. I don't want to. But it's imperative that we take that, and that doesn't mean that we're relinquishing our ability to want to be needed and desired and validated and understood, because we matter too. So, by the way, when a guy is shutting down, that's his trauma response to know, I have no idea how to navigate this. And I want you to continue to pursue me. Okay. And even though, yes, it's the natural masculine energy to move forward and to pursue, he still wants to know that he is validated and honored and loved and cherished and respected. So again, whole nother workshop. Okay. So that was great stuff. I love that. Thanks, John, for being the dude. I love it. Appreciate it. All right. Cool. Thank you everyone for participating in that. I know that's not always easy, and it sounds like you all did well. So we have just a few more slides. So again, it is technically the bottom of the hour. So if y'all need to jettison, if you want to hang with us for a few more minutes, we appreciate it. And we're going to move through these last couple of slides. So I think to really sum up, I want to give you some takeaways. And these are ways in which how to fight fair. We do it by practicing full presence listening. This is actually what those of you that are what's the word? Familiar with the Daring Deeply ecosystem will recognize some of these, okay, as part of our guidelines of engagement. Practice full presence listening, okay? Validation is full presence listening. You cannot validate someone if you're talking. You cannot validate someone if you're truly not listening. Okay, full presence. Be curious before critical. Okay, be curious before critical. That's why asking more questions than making statements in the middle of our conflict is paramount. Okay. The more question marks you have in your conversation, the better. Think in terms, if you were going to have a transcript of your conflict, that if you were to scan through it and do a search in Microsoft Word or Google search, okay, that you have more question marks than you do periods. Something to consider. Lead with love. Absolutely. That we go, and this is going to be so difficult, right? So difficult. But that's why I always want to insert, especially with a significant other, I love you and I'm having a really hard time hearing you right now. Right? I want to find a loving resolution to this. Using the word love can be a really fantastic tip in leading with love in these, okay? Extending validation, we've talked about that. Seek the underlying pain. This is where the questions come in. There's always something behind the conflict. There's always something behind the trigger, okay? Again, we don't trigger them, but it's our responsibility because we love them and we cherish the relationship to find out what's going on, right? Because, by the way, we all have blind spots. Newsflash, okay? Love you, and we all have blind spots. And some of those blind spots we want to be seen because we have those breakthrough aha moments sometimes when our partner goes, this is what I hear. Is this something that's happened? Oh my gosh, it is. And that's what's coming up for me. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Thank you for helping me navigate through that pain, okay? An unmet need. And of course, create a win-win. Resolution is about a win-win, not about winning and losing, okay? It's about finding resolution so we can say honestly, fervently, and with absolution, are we complete? Do we feel good? Are we ready to close this, put a bow on it? Okay. I love this. Healthy adults talk about problems. We look for solutions. When people hurt us, we communicate with compassion, directly and tactfully. We understand that no connection will last if people hold in all their anger, pain, and misunderstandings. Okay. We want to be healthy adults, which says we are healing. Okay. We are healing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. We're not healthy. Okay. Healing is a lifelong journey. We're never going to get there. That's okay. That is okay. Okay. Depending on where we've come from, depending on our life situation, scenarios, upbringing, childhood, all of that. Okay. We are consistently, that's the goal. Remember, the relationship is about I commit to consistently and constantly heal, grow, and transform. Okay. So we are consistently healing. And to wrap it up, it's not about continuing the conflict. No, it's about finding resolution. Finding resolution. So very quickly, very quickly, write down 3 things that you heard tonight. What stuck with you? What did you hear? Maybe it was something I said. Maybe it was something Paige said. Maybe it was something that was said in your breakouts. An aha or a reminder. For some of this is really, really great content to be reminded of, that we're here as a learner and not a knower. And then something that we practice here at Daring Deeply all the time with our clients, and those of you on the call who are, you know this, is to, I love it as I read this again, Paige, because she wrote this out. Stick it, stick it, stick it. We love Post-it notes. So place it on a Post-it note and place it where you can see it every day. This is what I learned. This is great language. Maybe it was a sentence that you saw on one of those slides of like, you know what? That's what I'm going to use the next time I'm confronted with that in conflict. Okay. So 3 of those, stick it, hang it so you see it every day. We have them. I have one. I can see one right now over here in our kitchen on a refrigerator. Okay. Because language matters. Okay. How we talk to ourselves matters. All right. And last but not least, next month, friends. That's right. If you want to talk about sex, come back next month. For our, I got a little giggle from Paige. Yes. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. Can
I'm
I
ready.
get it? What? Did you hear that, y'all? She ready. She ready. All right. So I will be teaching next month, friends, in our masterclass in May 16th, what we're calling Dirty Thoughts, Demystifying Sex and Intimacy. So those of you who are interested in like, you know what? I would like to know how I can communicate with potentially my partner, my spouse, future partner, future spouse, myself, what is all about, like, maybe you have some past, maybe there's some trauma involved in sex, is we're going to bring some demystifying thoughts and ideas, narratives to crash into what we think about sex and intimacy. So I invite you all to come back on May 16th, Monday, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We'll have that registration open soon. So that's all we got. That's all we got. Is that all we got, Paigey?
That's all we got for tonight.
For tonight. Yeah, that's right. Because great conversations are never completed. Really, they're just paused. They're just paused. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight. I hope it has been impactful and it's been important. And please, the recording will be available for all of you. So we'll have that up in the next couple of days or so. So if you're like, I want to go back. Now the breakout sessions, by the way, they're not recorded. Okay. So for privacy reasons and all those types of things, but thank you all for being here. Appreciate you.
And David,
Absolutely.
can you tell us where?
Yes.
Can you tell us where to find the recording then? Like
Yeah,
afterwards?
absolutely.
Where's
I
that?
will,
On your website
absolutely.
or where?
Yeah. So these recordings are privately held on the YouTube channel. So what we'll do is we'll send you directly the link, so you'll have access to that, Martha. Okay. All right. So, and by the way, our YouTube channel podcast, but our YouTube channel, just search Daring Deeply and you'll find all kinds of videos. All kinds of videos are up there. And we also have a podcast that could be found on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for where you choose to listen to your podcast. So just search Daring Deeply on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So we've got a couple of new ones up there. Paige and I having conversation about, I think the latest one was expressing emotions and how powerful that can be. So I I invite you to take a look at all that. I think that's all we got.
That's
Good.
all we got.
I know I've said that 4 times.
Yeah. That's
right,
for
it's
real
ti-
this time.
It's for real this time. Okay, say good night, Paige.
Good night.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night.